Has there ever been something that you wanted to do, but there was just this feeling that you shouldn't do it simply because you don't belong doing whatever that thing was? Yeah, we're going to talk about this today. Check out all of these boxes. We're moving tomorrow. So we've got most of the packing done. I've got packing that I've got to do. But we're also in a little bit of a rush because not only do we have class today, but there are things that we need to get done today for moving. So we've kind of got to get out of here and get going. So the first stop is the bank, but you guys are going to stay here because I don't think that they would appreciate me bringing a camera in there. So you guys hang out, and I'll be back before you know it. Okay? Back. Bank taken care of. Now we've got to get to class, and we're running kind of late, so I've got 45 minutes to get to class. Let's just get there. We're here. Well, we're not at school yet. This is just a parking garage, but I had to come park the car before I could actually get to class. So we got just a little bit of a walk, and then we'll actually be at school. We'll get ourselves to class, and then at some point we'll continue our conversation that we started this morning. Obviously, if we want to keep talking, I need to take this with me. While I've got a minute here as I'm walking to school, let's talk about that question that I had asked you guys a little earlier. Has there ever been a time when there was something you wanted to do, but you just felt like you shouldn't do it simply because you don't belong doing whatever that thing is? Most recently, I had that little voice in my head when I decided that I was gonna look into coming to law school. When I started doing my research and trying to figure out, what are the minimum requirements? What type of student do you need to go to law school? I started feeling like, Chris, maybe this isn't someplace that you should be. I got this idea that law school was really for a certain type of student, somebody who had all A's, really excelled in school. And it's not to say that I've ever been a bad student, but I was an average student. So this really made me question whether or not only I could do this, but really whether or not I belonged here. Never once while I've been here at Florida A&M, whether it has been in the application process and enrollment or being here for the first semester, has anybody ever made me feel like I don't belong here. It's actually quite the opposite. They really just want anyone and everybody who's made the decision that they want to do this and take on the challenge of law school feel like they belong here. So thumbs up to Florida A&M. All right, I've got some studying to do and class, so I will see you guys after class. So class is over. Class has been over for a little bit, but when you're in law school, even though class is over, law school, I promise you, is not over. They're fighting over who's gonna answer this question first. So here's this is Angie and that's Jennifer, and they are colleagues of mine here in law school. And so And I want you guys to answer whether or not there's ever been a time before you started law school that you just didn't feel like you belonged, here, like you shouldn't be here because you're not the type of person that should be in law school. Angie, go first.
Okay, so I would definitely say that my LSAT score was one of those things that made me felt like I didn't belong here. They usually tell you that, the higher the score, that determines your ability to work in law school. So I was a little afraid and deterred. I don't think that's the word I should be using. You're going to edit all this, right? Okay, great. But I think that feeling alone made me feel like I didn't belong here. But as soon as I came to law school, I realized it's not really about, it's also about what you know, but it's also about your ability to work hard. Diligence always beats intelligence. So as long as you work hard, you got it.
That's such a great answer. Okay, Jen.
Damn, Angie. So for me, it wasn't a sense of, it was a sense that I didn't belong here. It's more of like I shouldn't be here. And it's just because of my family back home. I felt like I should have stayed home to help them. And I guess I was being a little, I wasn't worrying about myself. But I can go with what Angie said. Like the LSAT score was one thing that kind of I was like, oh my God, I'm not going to get into law school. But the biggest thing was like I shouldn't be here because I should be back home with my family helping them. But I've decided that ultimately like this will help them in the end. So
Moral of the story, do those things that you feel like you don't belong in because you never know the opportunity and how it's going to turn out.
Right.
Exactly.
They're great. Instagrams?
Instagram, Angie, ANGIEEX3.
And mine is Just Love Pinto. Like Pinto.
I'll link them down below. They'll be in the description. Thank you, guys. This is Chrissy.
Hi.
Chrissy's probably the main person that I study with here at law school. So I've got this question. When you started law school, or before you started law school, was there ever a moment where you had in your back of your head, not that you couldn't be at law school, not that you couldn't do this, but that you just don't belong in law school? Like you're not the type of person that should be going to law school?
No, I never thought that I wasn't the type of person that belongs in law school. I did believe that I personally didn't belong based on my credentials.
Right. So you thought that law school or was reserved for somebody who had a certain resume.
Yeah.
And
Better
your
GPA.
better LSAT score.
Sure. I'm just pretty good here.
Now, since being here, when you started, at what point did it click that you said, this is where I should be?
Well, there's a few different moments of that, and it's based on different criteria. Moments that when you're sitting in class and it's like, oh yeah, this is where I need to be. And then affirmation, like when you get your grades, that's totally, okay, not do I think I'm getting it, but I'm actually getting it. So I belong here.
That's a great point because law school is a one and done thing. Like you take one test at the end of the semester. Some of us had midterms that counted, but along the way you don't really know where you're at in terms of like, do you get it or not? And so when you get your final grades, it is kind of that aha moment. Like, yeah, this is the spot for me. High five. Good job. Now, there is one other time that I can think of where I was like, man, I really don't belong doing this. Like, I'm not the type of person that should be doing this. It was creating YouTube videos. I never thought that I was the type of person that should be on YouTube creating videos because I had it in my head that that was meant for a certain person and it just wasn't me. Let's finish this conversation back at the apartment. It was time for me to get out of the library after a very long day at school. Studying was over. I was ready to get home and get ready for the move this weekend. But yeah, before I started creating these YouTube videos, I did have this sense of, yeah, I don't belong doing this. This is meant for people who are super creative, who are great with cameras, who can do video editing or have
or have information that they want to share on teaching people how to do things, whether it be something with tech or photography or makeup tutorials and things like that. I didn't necessarily have a message like that to share, or at least that's what I thought. But then I started creating these videos, and I found that this was something that helped to just balance me out, because I needed that creative outlet in my life. YouTube became that creative outlet. This became the place where, like I said last week, I can share my stories. And that's my message, creating and sharing my story, because like I said, we are storytellers, each and every one of us. So I belong here on YouTube. I belong in law school. And not letting that little voice get the better of me, saying like, Chris, you're just not this type of person to do this type of thing, has opened up so many more opportunities for me that I wouldn't have unless I ignored that little voice. Don't let that little voice ever tell you that you don't belong doing something. Because you belong doing anything that you find a passion for, or helps to keep you balanced in life, or that you just simply enjoy doing. So don't forget to share your stories with me down in the comments. And if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more content just like this, please remember to click the subscribe button. Don't forget to hit the bell. And remember, there's a great, big, beautiful tomorrow.